Thank you for coming today.
I always enjoy talking about the great things we have done in the past 8 years. And why you shouldn't trust anybody else. I will not increase taxes.
You seem to be making lots of spending promises in this campaign. Where is the money coming from?
It's all in our plan. I will not increase taxes.
But what are you going to do about the deficit?
As I said in Tuesday's press conference, I think we are doing a good job at managing the deficit.
But our deficit is currently $16 billion. It has risen by 163% in the last 8 years. Our debt has increased 85% and is now $258 billion. You have burdened us with staggering, mind-boggling debt that will take our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren generations to pay off. In today's low-interest environment, we are paying $12.6 billion a year on interest alone. Things will get even worse when interest rates rise. Doesn't that make you unpopular with people who understand that?
I accept that I am not the most popular guy. Doing what's right doesn't win me any popularity contests. Do you know that in 2010 we generated more new jobs than all other provinces combined?
But we represent about 40% of the country's population and workforce. Based on our population and demographics, shouldn't we expect to be creating more new jobs?
We added 108,000 new jobs in 2010 compared to 2009. In the last 8 years, almost 400,000 new jobs have been generated.
But most of those jobs are in the service sector, including a huge increase in the number of public sector jobs paid for by our taxpayers. In the goods-producing sector, including manufacturing, we have lost 234,000 jobs.
The global recession has had an impact on us.
But over the last 8 years there has only been a 6.4% increase in jobs. And that includes the huge increase in public sector jobs paid for by our taxpayers. In contrast, jobs in Alberta have increased by 16.4% in the last 8 years. We used to be the economic engine of the country.
Well, we created a new tax plan to create jobs. New investment is pouring in. And I have to say that nothing is more important to our economic future than education. That's why we introduced North America's first full-day kindergarten.
It will be interesting to see how that goes. Your opposition also seems to be behind full-day kindergarten.
Don't trust them. Trust me. I will not raise taxes.
It seems as though your government has struggled with putting a cost to full-day kindergarten. First you couldn't say. Then it was $1.5 billion. And now it seems to be $3 billion.
Nothing is more important to our economic future than education. Our schools have been rated the best in the English-speaking world.
I understand that the ranking is based on a McKinsey consulting study. There doesn't seem to be many details. Did they examine every public school board in the world? What factors did they use in their evaluation? I suspect it spanned multiple years. I imagine that some of the factors that contributed to our high ranking included standardized testing at multiple grade levels, the Education Quality and Accountability Office, Teacher Accountability, and the College of Teachers. All of these initiatives were implemented by previous governments. Some of them were opposed by your party.
We've seen real results. Our high school graduation rates have risen from 68% to 81%.
But does a high school diploma have the same meaning? Students are getting credit for courses they rarely attend. Until recently, you instituted policies where students could not receive zeros or mark deductions for late work. Students can now earn 2 compulsory credits and up to 12 optional credits through cooperative education. Everyone, including your opposition, thinks that cooperative education is great. Co-op provides students with great opportunities to learn on the job. But when you talk about the increase in graduation rates, shouldn't you disclose that students can now get 14 out of 30 credits through co-op work programs?
We have achieved so much in these last 8 years. We have added thousands of new teacher jobs, and children in our early grades are now in classes of 23 or fewer students. We need to continue to move forward.
I think everyone recognizes the importance of teachers. Your opposition also supports lower teacher-to-student ratios. They also support increased spending in education. What some have been questioning are salary increases during hard times. In times when much of our workforce was facing salary cuts or job losses. There have been significant increases in the number of Ministry of Education jobs, and increases in salaries for those jobs. There are well over 300 jobs within the Ministry of Education that pay over $100,000 a year. There are also thousands of non-teaching jobs within school boards. We are literally borrowing money to pay for all of this. So although your opposition favors increased spending in education, some are questioning whether the spending could be done more effectively.
I wouldn't trust them. I would trust me. I will not raise taxes. We view education and healthcare as top priorities. We have achieved so much. 8 years ago we had the worst wait times for surgery in the country. Today we have the best.
That's true for some surgical procedures. But there are still long wait times for non-surgical procedures. And there have been other significant issues such as the poorly managed C. difficile outbreak in our hospitals.
We have hired thousands of new doctors and nurses. We have built new hospitals. 1 million more of us have a family doctor. We have gotten our healthcare system back on its feet.
There have certainly been some good initiatives in healthcare. I find it much easier to go to a walk-in clinic.
Exactly. We view access to proper healthcare as a top priority.
But so do the other parties. They all have strategies to increase healthcare spending and improve our healthcare system.
I would not trust them. I would trust me. I will not increase taxes.
Although there has been progress in some areas, there have been billions of dollars of waste under your government. What about the billions of wasted dollars on e-health? The delays in opening and funding new hospital builds. The huge cost overruns in new hospital builds. The out-of-control spending on local health networks. The opposition is promising to increase spending in healthcare, but perhaps more importantly they plan to manage the spending more effectively so that we do not waste billions and billions of dollars.
I wouldn't trust them. I would trust me. I will not raise taxes. Sure, I'll mislead you and scare you. I'll redirect your attention away from the huge budget deficits and debt increases. I'll mislead you about our job situation and not point out that we have lost hundreds of thousands of goods-producing jobs, and that many of our new jobs are in the public sector, being paid for by taxpayer dollars and money that we are borrowing. I'll talk to you about dollars pouring into the province without mentioning any specifics. I won't point out that one of the reasons our graduation rates are so much higher is that we've made it way easier for students to get credits. Nor will I highlight that many of the initiatives that have positively affected our education system were implemented by previous governments. I want to make you afraid of what others will do with healthcare. Even though they have promised to increase spending, I'll put doubt in your mind by taking things out of context and selectively highlighting opinions people had years ago. It's impossible to think that people's minds and positions have changed through the years to reflect new knowledge, maturity and societal changes. I, of course, have never changed my mind or position on anything. I'll mislead you on my government's record by selectively choosing some positive sound bites without telling the whole story. And I will totally neglect or discount major issues such as our huge deficit and staggering debt. But you should trust me, not them.